All right, we'll be going live here shortly, gang. So the topic is going to be very free flowing today. I just got off of a pretty rugged call. And so, as I mentioned just before this, let me go back. Are we live? Can you guys see that? Because I can't see shit.
Yes, we are live.
Okay, I can't see anything. That's why. It's saying that I have to go live again. So anyway, I can't see anybody. I can't see a screen. I'm just talking to a Zoom screen right now that has some text on it. But what I was saying was I just got off of a call, and it kind of left me in a state of being kind of aggressive. And it's not aggressive towards women or that I hate women or anything like that. It just puts things into perspective for me a little bit. So my name is Evan. I'm joined with Joy Guzman in the Philippines and Noe Aureliano in Hawaii.
Aloha.
Aloha.
If we're going to talk about male-female dynamics, it's important that we be completely honest and not say things that we think the other person wants to hear. You know what I mean? Like, because that brings no value to the audience whatsoever. Because they're not interested in hearing what you know about red pill, blue pill. You know, they want to know what you know about your experience as a female and the game. And when I say the game, I'm meaning the game that both men and women play. So, for example, if you have a rich guy that flies a girl out to be with you, right? And you put her up in your condo, and she's posting as if she's this successful person, but really it's not her success. And it's not like she's getting it for free. She has to pay in other ways. But if she represents herself as this successful, rich person, but really she's not putting the dime, or she didn't acquire the skills to develop herself as this successful business person, it's a lie. It's a facade. She's living the life, but she's living the life because the guy became something. She was born with it. She was born with the physical attributes, to pique this guy's interest, to get this, girl to fly out, right? So if you guys' camera's gonna be off, we're done. Okay? Respect this place. If you're gonna hide, we're done with this call. Like, this is the attitude that I'm gonna have today. Okay, so I think that it is the game, and it has been played this way for a long time. And for decades, we've had this this system in place where there's a lot of women empowerment and stuff like that. And I think it's great. I said in earlier videos, I think it's fantastic that there was an equal rights movement. Joy doesn't experience that fully because she's in a third world country. You cannot be a feminist in a third world country. There's not a lot of feminists in the Philippines. You know what I'm saying? Only in America, Europe, first world countries do you have this stuff. Why? Why? Right? Why? Because of laws that are passed and because of the movement that's happened. I'm just pulling stuff out of my ass right now, but I mean, that's a great question. Why is it that in a third world country, you cannot have this kind of stuff going on? I mean, the game is played, but you cannot have a women's rights or women's lib movement to the extent that it's happened in the United States and the Philippines. Why is that, Joy?
I think because for me as a woman, based on my experience, we still have a respect to the guys. So it's we give men's value. It's like, we cannot just like be like tired to the guys, because the guys are the ones who
So
supporting
that's great. But what if the girls decided, no, I'm going to be this strong, empowered woman? You decide independently that I am a strong, empowered woman. I don't give a shit I don't need no man. Why wouldn't that work in the Philippines?
That's what I don't know. Because I think it's like we still cannot do it, being a strong woman. Because we know it's like we cannot do what guys can do.
It's a good question.
That's my
It's a good question, right?
you know.
And what do you think, Noy?
I feel like a lot of it is people's ego, and they feel like they have to be the better partner or
What do you
spouse or
feel?
whatever.
What do you feel?
That's what I feel. I feel like it's people's ego. Like they're way too caught up in what social media
So
like
you're
puts
way too
out.
caught up. So you're way too caught up in social media.
Well, we live on
Like,
social media too, but
so yeah. So what do you think is why is it that only in America and first world countries can equal rights and women's movement and women live and all this stuff happen, but in the Philippines it's harder?
between third world country and like our country, like one like first world country kind.
Why is it different
I,
for you than it is
I'm
for
guessing
Joy?
like I'm guessing it's the government. The government is different in both. They're not they're being taught, I should say. Like the government is teaching their people or their tribe or country, whatever, how they think it should be.
So the government is
So that's
keeping women down.
I feel like that's why
The
it's
government's
both.
keeping women down.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. Depending on where they are. So like in the Philippines, the women are they're like they're like toys. They're like puppets, I would say. And in US, it's like they're worshipped to a whole extent of empowering, like you're saying, like I don't need no man or whatever. I feel like in like the Philippines, like where Joy is at, they don't have that power because of their government like shaming them, how they were raised, how they were brought up. They were just like, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that. But in here in the US, it's like it's very open, and like you said, equality has gotten, or woman empowerment has gotten to a whole different extent of what it actually started out to be. So I think it's their
Okay.
government and
So
how they're
so
being taught.
so if Joy knows how to cook and clean, and she was kind of raised to be a housewife or whatever, right? But in the US, women are more taught to go out, get an education, get a good job, get a career, then start thinking about your family, right? Whereas with men,
Yeah.
it's just like provide. Your job is to provide, to
Yep.
provide and to have security and to like not fool around, be loyal. I mean that's and be chivalrous, right? Is what a lot of women will say on dating. It's like, I'm looking for a chivalrous man who's not gonna fool around on me. I'm gonna provide for me and take care of me, right? But so if Joy is
Well,
raised
and
one way
even
and you're raised another way, why is it the government's fault?
well, not only the
And
government's fault, but just how you were taught, like how you were raised. The
Right.
people who's educating you or teaching you in any way. That could be your
Okay.
family, that could be
So
your neighbors, that could be friends.
so let me interject right there. Okay. So I was raised in the same environment, culture that you were raised, right? I had I had two male teachers my entire elementary and high school. Two male teachers. The rest were all females. Okay. Some of them good, some of them bad, whatever. It doesn't matter. But the interesting thing is that prior to that, prior in the 50s, there were a lot of male teachers. 40s, there were a lot of male teachers because a lot of the wives stayed at home still. Okay. So a common thing nowadays is where's all a lot of the women will say, where did all the good men go? Where's all the good men out there? Where's all the strong, virtuous men out there? Right? But the thing is, what they're not taking into account is they were raised by a lot of single moms and educated by women. It's just interesting. I'm not complaining about it. It's just I find it interesting when I think about it now. So you have a generation or generations now, like 4 generations of guys, 3 to 4 generations of guys and girls that have grown up since the 60s until now that were raised in a more gynocentric society, more women-based, where women's ideals were placed at the forefront because of equal rights, right? The men took a back seat because it's like, you know what? Hey, they deserve to have equality. So now we have teachers that are instructing boys in their core belief systems on what it is to be a good boy in a women's world. So women trying to teach men, young men, how to be men. And so now when these guys are grown, and at the same time, the same women are teaching the women how to be strong, independent women. So you have a role reversal. You have a culture now where you have strong, independent, this is first world, right? US, West. So you have strong, independent women that are career driven, want to make their own money. I don't need no man. And you have, on the polar opposite side, you have weaker men that provide, that do what the women want. They're just kind of subservient. So you have like a role reversal, right? And some might say that's okay, that's cool. But it leads to a weak male population. And so when the women say, where did all the good men go? Where did all the strong men go? Maybe that's one explanation for it. And I don't think there's a way to snap out of that, because that whole equal rights movement has swung so far to the right. And there might be people out there being like, fuck, grow a pair of balls, Devin, fuck. You know what I mean? Like man up or whatever. Shut up, I say, fuck you. You don't know my story and you don't know me. I don't hate women. I'm just making observations, right? So if you have one group that goes all the way to where they're going to march on Washington, D.C. anytime something pisses them off, you never see men marching against that kind of stuff. Have you? You ever hear men complaining about this shit?
No.
No, because they'll just drive on. Because men, in my opinion, men don't need women to survive for the rest of their life.
But women need men. But they keep saying that I don't need a man. But in reality, we need men.
I don't know. Like, why do you need men? I mean, a lot of women say they don't need no man. Fuck it. Make my own money. I raised my own kid. I froze my own eggs. Fuck. You know what? I don't need no man.
It's like, cause we need men, because how we gonna have a baby if we don't have a man? And
So
also
nowadays women will say, hey, I froze my eggs. I froze my eggs. All I need is a sperm donor. All I need is a guy's sperm.
That's the question. Where are you gonna get sperm without a guy? Right?
In vitro, whatever. They can do shit now. So you don't need to have sex in order to give birth to a child nowadays.
I don't know about here. No.
Yeah, so, I don't know about there too. I think I don't think there's not a problem. Like the Philippines is the only country that's probably having a population explosion, right?
Yeah, open wide.
Yeah, they definitely do that without having a male involved.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and also like, who's going to build our house, or we're gonna fix our like toilet if we don't have a man. So it's like we learned that from a guy, not from a woman. So that's why I'm saying that we need men. For me, I need men. Especially if I have a boy, I have a son. I cannot I cannot what do you call this? Provide, or what men does to my son. So because I'm a woman, I cannot teach my son, to be
True,
a man.
true that. And 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 like us as moms, we don't have, not that it's like we don't have it in us because we're not males to teach them. The fact that we both have sons, we're grateful to have, like, well, I am. I know you have your peeps that's just not in it, but like, to be able to have a man in your life, it's like protection. It's having that security and
Exactly.
protection. Because say you are in a place where you maybe don't have the belief or the faith that you yourself can do it. It's not that same energy. It's not that same vibe as if you were to get any type of knowledge that's made for what men are supposed to be, like, made of, what provide what Evan said. Like, we can't provide that. Only the men can. Only the father can. They can't be given anything that we don't know. And just like Evan said, it's where did all of the good strong men go? Where did all of the where did they go, or where are they in life? It's pretty much they're raised by women like you,
Tell
or
you what,
women like, women that
females
are
females kill them.
exactly, because you're trying to raise a man, which that will never ever happen. You as a female cannot raise a man. You don't know any of the qualities, and you don't have any of the necessities in order to equip your son to be the man that he's supposed to be.
Well, good thing you
Exactly.
have Joe,
Yeah.
right? Because the other thing too is that it's like there's a lot of women that don't understand the repercussions of taking the son away from their father and just saying, you know what, I'm moving to the opposite side of the country. You're never going to see your son, but I'm going to get child support and I'm going to take half of everything you got and I'm gone, right? They don't understand that most criminals, most problem kids come out of single family, most guys, right? Girls too, but more so guys. The guys that are raised in single parent, single mom households usually end up kind of troubled because they're confused. They, they're
They
confused with
weren't
who they
raised by their
are.
father. They weren't raised by men.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be men. They're trying to be men. They go from boy to men, but they're being taught by a female, which you're not going to be a man if you're going to be taught by a female.
And I can speak to this with my own experience in that there was a large age gap between my oldest sister, who was 10 years, my brother, who was 8 years, the sister closest to me is 5 years away, and then me. So I mentioned this in a previous video too, is that my brother and my two sisters were all fairly close in age. So they hung out a lot together because they were older than me by a big margin. I was actually, now that I think about it, I was fortunate to be around my dad a lot because I was the only one. Everybody else wanted to go with my mom because she bought them shit. She did all this kind of stuff, spoiled them, right? So my brother, up until he was until my mom died, basically, and he continues to be confused, I think. But it is what it is. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm saying that at the time I thought I was like shit. I don't get to hang around with the older kids, right? But now I see it as a blessing because my dad and I would do a lot of landscaping. We'd dig holes, plant coconut trees, do all kinds of stuff. We did the whole yard. Like I was always around him, rebuilding engines, changing oil, changing screen doors, windows. I mean, whatever there was to do outside, I was with him. because he had to watch me, and I would just watch him, and it would be frustrating too, because he would say, hey, I want you to help me do this. And the help would be, okay, hold this wrench. And I'd be like holding the wrench, standing there, like I want to help, you know what I mean? But I wasn't old enough yet. I didn't understand. Right. So he would be handing him tools. Pass me this, pass me that. And that was helping him. And it's a big help, but I wanted to do more. So later on I got to do more. But I feel super grateful that I had my dad there. Because if it was just my mom, I think I'd probably be in prison, honestly. So
Well, even myself, sorry, even myself, like losing my dad at a very young age, not having that male figure as a female, and like I could only imagine if I had a brother and my dad had like a son, I don't know, I would kind of feel bad, because if you were to lose a father at a young age, and you're a male and you're trying to grow up to be just like your dad, or better, and you're stuck with a whole bunch of girls like us, it kind of throws everything off. Like you said, it's throwing off the energy, and how males should be brought up, not raised by females, because they're going to be turning to be like But being around my dad, like grilling, doing like the like outdoor work, doing the yard, all of that stuff is things that I definitely feel grateful that I was able to do. Because my mom, there wouldn't be none of that. There'd be other people doing it for her. Again,
it takes the two to make a really strong, like a good family dynamic. So that's the other thing, is like, why get married if you're not going to have kids with this person? But that goes to kind of like the long game. So let's talk about the game a little bit. So when I was in the Philippines, I went around, I did the bar thing, I did the whole nightlife thing, I played around, I did a bunch of stuff. And what I learned was that there's a lot of commonality from the game in the Philippines and the game worldwide, basically, with women. There's a short game and a long game. You follow me so far? So
Yes.
in the Philippines, you get there, you're on 2 weeks, right? Say you meet this girl or whatever, and her game is to try to get as much money out of you as possible in the allotted time, whether that's half of a night, 1 night, 3 nights, 2 weeks, 1 month, whatever the duration of your stay is. That's the short, and she's willing to give herself up for that. She's willing to give herself up for that, like sexually, and just being around, and like neglecting her kids, or like not being around, just being around you the whole time. She's willing to do that. The long game is after the guy leaves, still getting money out of that guy. And it can be multiple guys, right? So say you're working in the Philippines, or you're a girl in the Philippines, and you have multiple foreign boyfriends, and you're talking to all of them. You don't know how many that they're talking to. They could be talking to 1, 5, 10, whatever, and each one sends $50 a month. And the median income in the Philippines is $250 a month. That girl is styling. Long game. Or if she gets pregnant, you don't know who that kid belongs to. This is the game. And the game is the same in the US on a basic level. What do you guys think about that?
For based on my experience, so long game and short game. Short game is like how you survive life, especially single moms like me, and some of them single mom out there. So they are we are try they we're trying to what do you call this, experience things, so just to survive and our kids and my family. So we will going to do that. And it's gonna meet new person, and if we don't like this person, just gonna get that money from that guy. And then if that person likes you, it's like we're gonna play that game for long term.
Okay, so
That's
so you're talking about like primarily single moms, right? Doing what they
yeah.
got to
So
do to
no,
survive, right?
yes,
Or okay,
yes,
so if let's look at single moms, right? So single moms doing what they got to do to survive. They're going to use whatever assets they have, whatever tools they have at their disposal. So their youth, their looks, their vanity. You know, the thing is that why are they single moms to begin with? They had to choose to lay down with this guy. They chose not to use contraception, right? So it's like you got kids, okay. So this is a slightly different topic, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. Very controversial topic. So if a girl gets pregnant from a guy, and there's like over 1,000 different ways a woman can protect herself with using birth control to not have kids, then getting pregnant is a choice, is the woman's choice to get pregnant or not pregnant. The guy can wear a condom, right? But the kinds of contraception that there is out there available for women is a lot more. So this is very controversial. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with it. I'm not sure yet. But if a girl gets, because I've been trapped before, and I'm not saying that as a victim. It's like we have a beautiful daughter, and now she's 25 and whatever, right? But that was not planned. And she said she was on birth control, and we got pregnant. So there are people out there that suggest and believe that if it's not the guy's choice to have a baby, then he should not be forced to provide for that kid either. There's people that think that. So if the girl says, okay, yeah, baby, let's lay down and let's have sex and let's do it multiple times, and I'm on the pill and I get pregnant, and it's casual sex, a lot of people don't go into sexual relationships thinking that they're going to start a family. They just want to have casual sex or just have sex. But now it's like, okay, we're in it for life. That's part of long game. It happens all the time, right? It happens all the time. So Joy, if the girl decides to lay down with the guy and gets pregnant, this is before long game, short game, right? Now she's playing long game. She's thinking, I'm going to go long game with this guy. I'm not using any contraception, and I'm going to have sex with this guy. That's her choice. She controls the sex. She controls whether or not she opens her legs and sleeps with this guy. And then she gets pregnant and then goes, oh, I'm late now, so you're going to have to help me with this kid. And the guy's like, frick that, I'm out. And in the Philippines, they can do that. In the US, you cannot do that. But that's why there's so many single moms.
yeah. So based on my experience, so I did that for my first child. So I was a high school graduating in high school. So I have a first boyfriend, and I let myself to get pregnant to this guy. And then I told to that guy that I'm late. I'm delayed. And then the guy said, I'm not ready yet. Because we didn't plan it. So I think it's like I made a choice to get pregnant with this guy, because I wanna get out of this, like my family, my parents, and want to be with this guy. That's why I decided to get pregnant. But at the same time, he's my first boyfriend that get my virginity. So that's why I I decided. So I want to do this, but on that time I was teenager, so I don't know what the game is. But now that we're talking about this, it's like I'm realizing and learning everything. So yeah, so I think that's the long term game. And but at the end, I didn't, it the one thing, the what I want from before is didn't happen. So he decided to get and have family with different girls. So but it's all good. So yeah, but so I wanted to get supported from this person, but he did not do it because he's not ready. So it's also my fault because I let myself to fall on that situation.
Okay. So it's a little bit different in the Philippines and in US. Like the guy cannot just walk away because the girl could go after him. Even without a DNA test, the guy is still on the hook if the girl says the child is his. Doesn't
Yeah,
he?
and here in the US, it's like anything a woman says, it goes. Like it's very uh pro women when it comes to stuff like in court. For example, like Joe knows he could have lost access to our son like that. But what I did is I had went to that court and I pretty much testified, and I was like, you know what? Like there is no way I would want my son to not have his father because I can't give him what he needs in this life. I don't have what he needs to be equipped to be the man that he needs to be. Don't mind him just like throwing up in the back.
Poor kid. Yeah. Okay. So that's an interesting, it's an interesting topic to go into, right? About the whole like, should a guy be okay? So I'll ask you guys the question: should a guy be liable for the kid if you got pregnant on purpose without him knowing?
For
Yes.
me, mm-hmm.
So you
But
decide to get you
before,
decide to get pregnant independently. You know what? I'm gonna get off the pill and I'm gonna get pregnant. You don't tell the guy. He's still liable, even though it was a sole decision on your part to start this family.
Oh, I'm sorry. I heard the question wrong. I thought you were saying if you guys did get pregnant and say the woman didn't want to keep the child, would he have the privilege to take over? Sorry, my bad.
Oh, well, that's the other thing, right? Once the guy gets the girl pregnant, he loses all his rights. He loses all his rights. Once that girl gets pregnant, that's it. He has no choice anymore on whether to keep it, abort it, anything. So if a girl gets pregnant by her own sole discretion, she decides, you know what? I like this guy. He has good genetics. He has a good income. And like we've been having casual sex, and I'm just gonna miss taking my pill for a week and see what happens. Without telling the
guys
guy.
over here still has still decision. It's like it's your decision if you're going to support the kid or not.
Right. But my question is,
So
you get pregnant on purpose, right? Does the guy have the right to support or not?
no,
You're in the Philippines, you're saying no, no need.
it's like not no need. It's like he's not reliable because it's not his decision to get you pregnant. It's your decision. It's my decision to get pregnant. It's like why I let myself to get pregnant without telling that guy, like, oh, I'm out. I'm not gonna take the pills because we're having casual sex. So like it's my fault. Like I cannot blame that guy because he's not supporting me. It's my fault. So that's why it's like it's all it's like it's in this what do you call this conversation, this like it all come back to me because I did it. I
Okay, no,
I
what do
did
you think?
try.
I I feel like as both, like, yes, women are the people to control the sex and men are the ones to control the marriage and when they get married, but it takes two to tango. I feel like they both should be reliable. Like, you guys both done it.
Yeah,
Yes,
but if the woman, the woman controls the sex and the birth.
yep,
That's her decision.
it
So
is.
if she decides independently to have a child without telling the guy, is the guy liable?
I wouldn't say he would be liable, but it's like, if I would think in any birthing of a child, both people should be there and liable.
Right, but if it wasn't planned,
Then it's all, I would think it would be on the girl, because the girl's the one who decided to either decided first to open her legs to have sex, second to either abort it or to keep the baby. That was her decision.
yeah. I mean, because in the past, like when my former wife said that she got pregnant, right, and she was on the pill. I mean, I think I mentioned before, we went from in like 11 months, we went from meeting to having our child and getting married. Like that's how
Wow.
freaking in Disneyland I was. Like I'm the father, even though she said, we got pregnant, I'm gonna support this kid, I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna do the right thing. And I remember her saying, come on, man up. And I was like, fuck yeah, I got this.
Wow. I mean, because
And I left school.
even when we first got pregnant as well, like, Joe was like, I mean, it's totally up to you. It's totally up to you. He told me that.
Well, he's right, because it is.
It is. And I had asked him the same thing, and I was like, are we ready for this? The answer is no. Like, you're never ready to just have a kid when you're not expecting it. But yes, just like you said, it was my decision to keep the baby or not. It wasn't his.
So what if he said, just hypothetical, right? Because a lot of women get pissed off and guys bail, right? And then they'll go after them and then they'll sue them and garnish their checks and everything, right? And I'm not saying that's not the right thing to do. I think that, if you don't, so that's why, as for me, I will always wear a condom now. Because I'm not giving up my right to birth. I can control that. As much as it sucks wearing a condom. It's one of those things where I've learned that it might suck wearing a condom, but it really sucks getting someone pregnant, and then really, really sucks being in a relationship with this person for the next 25 years or the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So if Joe said, you know what, you have this kid, I'm out. Now what?
Peace. No, but for real, honestly, I mean, honestly, I've always wanted to have my own kids. Maybe in that predicament, I would be kind of bummed out, but things happen for a reason. If it wasn't meant to be, it just wasn't meant to be.
See, the good thing is that you're young. You're 26. Right? Joy had her kids when she was 16, 18, and what? 20?
16, 17, and 21, like that.
So, I mean, in a way, you guys are like lucky, smart, I don't know, that you had them when you were young. Because a lot of women will wait, you know, and play the field and rack up a high body count and like sleep with all kinds of guys, which kind of brings their value down, in my opinion, you know, and then get their degree and think that they're this like super educated, powerful, whatever, and then want to have kids. So like in the dating scene right now, there's a lot of like ladies that are single moms in their 30s or in their 30s that want to have kids because now they're finished, you know, playing around and getting their degree and all this stuff. And now they're like really serious about having a relationship. In their profile, it'll be like seriously looking for marriage. You know what I mean? And then it's like, frick, I don't care about, like, the marriage is the last thing I want. So guys my age, they're not necessarily looking for marriage. I'm just speaking for myself. I'm not looking for marriage, having been through two. I don't see the need to get married again. You know, I think a bachelor's lifestyle, for all you guys that are out there that may be listening to this thing, a bachelor lifestyle is actually pretty nice. And I think it boils, so I guess the moral to this whole discussion that we're having is, if I'm okay with being by myself, and I have my priorities straight on, like, I want to be in great health, I want my finances to be strong and secure, and I want to have time freedom to be able to enjoy my money and time with people who I want to be with, or by myself, I have the liberty to do that. And I think that can happen with both men and women. And that's why I have Joy and Noi on, because it can happen. And I think for the most part, it can happen when, especially for women, right? I think women entrepreneurs, and I'm talking about entrepreneurs that have not just taken care of themselves, because a lot of, like, it's cool to be an entrepreneur nowadays, right? And it's cool for someone to say like I'm a strong, independent entrepreneur, right? If they're a woman, but then they have like a beauty shop and they take care of just themselves. But if they're an entrepreneur and they have multiple people in their organization, that's a whole nother level of growth and learning. And I think that a great spot to meet people is an entrepreneur that has gone through the fire of developing an organization and a business and her own financial stability and perfect health, just like for us guys, to be able to complement a man's life and the man to complement the woman's life. I think it's possible. Yet to be seen, but I think it's very possible, and that can add to a lot of happiness and freedom. And I'm not talking about marriage. You know, I think marriage is, unless you're going to have kids together, marriage is not necessary, I feel. What do you guys think? I mean,
I would agree.
Yep. If you're really like, happy with this person, you don't need to get married. You can just like be with her or be with him without marrying. It's like, that's what we call like unconditional love, right? Like, no need for marriage as long as you're happy together.
yeah, I agree. And, yeah, I agree. Did you know that this year has the lowest, like men are, there's the fewest number of marriages so far this year.
Really? It's like, I
Yeah.
see a lot of marrying this year.
Yeah, but the stats show that there are fewer marriages this year than ever.
I think that is like illegal marriage. That's why.
Like, why is that? Why is that?
I don't know. I feel marriage is, it's a very like heavy, but it's very simple topic. Like, you're getting into some heavy and some deep shiz. You're making a commitment when, like we were talking about, you can be together for like 10 years not being married and still take half of that person's money, still take half of whatever
The
the hell.
woman can.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's why there's not a lot of marriages going on. A lot of people
Yeah.
have been together forever and they're like, oh, I know how to play this game. I can just still stay with you, but we don't need to officially be married, especially if we don't have kids, like you said.
Yeah.
And I still can take your money. I still can
Yeah.
take
I think
half
as
of
long
your
as they're
money.
not cohabitating, right? That's why they say like never move in. Keep them separate. Right?
Frick,
But it's
it
so
took
easy
me,
to you may as well just move in.
yeah, it took me
Right?
forever. It took me and Joe forever to move in
Yeah.
together.
I think there's fewer marriages because guys are saying, why? Why get married? There's no need.
Mm-hmm. Because they know.
They know
They know.
it's a bad deal for the guy in the US. I don't know how in the Philippines you get married, there's no such thing as divorce.
Yeah, no divorce. And it's
There's
hard once that you get married. And I'm grateful that I didn't get married, because if I got married and then the guy decided to
yeah, that's
leave me,
it.
it's like it's my problem because his last name is gonna be on my last name. It's like,
Yeah. And so say
like I'm
say
gonna remove
if
it.
if Joy is married, the guy digs out after the
Mhm.
first year, and now it's like 15 years later, and she gets married to say a foreigner, the foreigner could get in big trouble for marrying her.
Why is that?
I forget what it was, but like if you were married and you didn't tell me, you said, yeah, you know what? No, like I was, the kids are the kids and we never got married. And then I married you, there's big fines. I could be subject to big fines and you can take advantage.
Really?
That's a whole nother game.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my god.
Yeah. Yeah. And did you know that if you're married in the Philippines, it is legal to murder your spouse and the fling if you catch them in the act? So say I walk in the door. I walk in the door and I'm like, who the hell is that? And I freaking bust out my handgun and I blow him away. Boom, 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 boom. Shoot him in bed and he's laying on top of her. The police come over. Hey, I caught him in the act. It's legal. Did you know that, Joy?
I heard that from you. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
I
You
heard
just
that
said
from, shout out to the Filipina P. I heard that from
Oh.
her on YouTube.
Oh,
But anyway, this is a
now I
pretty
know.
long segment, you guys. And so long game, short game, it's all over the place. And girls can justify it however they want to justify it, but the game is the game. Girls are going to use what they got, guys are going to use what they got. And in all honesty, I think that girls have been playing the game their entire life. And as guys, we come to the game very late. So
Since birth.
since birth. So I think that
Mhm.
for the girls, for the guys,
Yeah.
I think that
The girls.
build your as Rich Cooper will say, build your muscles, build your bank, right? And then have freedom is what I always add in there. Because if you have those three things and then you control the birth and you're, as Alan Roger Curry would say, be completely honest with your intentions so that there's no manipulation going on from you or her, hopefully. If you're into casual sex, say that. If you want a long-term relationship, say that. Just be honest with everything. And I think things are in your favor. But if you have the muscles, money, and freedom, and you
You
control
will
the
get the
birth,
girl.
you'll get the girl and you'll be able to obtain your freedom and maintain it indefinitely. No such thing. You don't have to get married and do all that stuff. But you guys have any closing remarks outside of that?
Just be you and don't play the game. Just if you're going to play the game, learn how to play it wisely.
If you're going to play the game, period, you just need to be honest.
Exactly.
I think that goes a long way, actually. And
You
it's
really just
hard.
need to be honest, period. Whether you're in a relationship, male, female, we're in a Pride month, so whatever flow, whatever way you go, like you just need to be honest with your spouse, with your partner, because if you guys are not being honest, you yourself, you need to take that initiative and make that adjustment yourself, and not rely on that other person to make that adjustment. You have to make it yourself, and
You.
yeah, you. But yeah, just be honest. Be honest with your partner, and communicate. Don't
Yeah.
whine.
Don't be whining, you guys. Anyway, I'm gonna do a book review on a book entitled Mode One. And I'm just about done reading it. It was good. I've read it over a couple of times, and I think it'll be a good book review, so stay tuned for that. In it, he talks a lot about honesty, being 100% honest. And so that's why we're going to do a book review on that. So that being said, if you're still hanging in there, please like, subscribe, support the channel, ask questions in the feed below, topic suggestions, whatever you feel like putting in there, comments, concerns, criticisms, we like it all. Please put it in there, and we'll talk to you. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks, subscribers. I saw some new ones. Thank you very much for your support.